My name is Ruth Powell and I work for Kolov, and I'm the Information and Support Officer, and part of my role is to manage the requests for debriefing, and we provide debriefing for groups, and we also provide one-to-one debriefings. So it's in our code of good practice that all volunteer development workers should be able to access either group or personal debriefing, but sometimes they're not able to with their volunteer sending agency, or sometimes they need an extra session. So we try and reach those people that would like the extra debriefing. Yeah.
And what are the merits then between the individual debriefing and the group debriefing?
Yeah, so group debriefing would take place typically over a whole day, so from approximately 10 o'clock in the morning till about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. There would be approximately 15 participants, possibly 2 debriefers, and then people would be asked about the challenges of their placement and some of the positive elements of their placement, and it would take place within the group setting. So this works really well for groups of volunteer development workers that have been away on short-term placements and where nothing serious has happened. They've been away for about 3 weeks or 4 weeks, and the placement went very well, the objectives were reached, everyone came home safely and nothing particularly serious happened. So that's when it's very good to have a group debriefing. And then the personal one-to-one debriefings are very useful for people that have faced a few challenges while they've been overseas. Possibly they've been away longer, so for 3 months up to 2 years, and they really do have a few things that they'd like to discuss in detail. And that works better then for those people. It also works well for people who might have had challenges within the group. So one of their challenges might have been the team leader or the living conditions within, because they were living with other participants from the programme, and maybe that caused some distress or stress that they're still trying to manage now that they've come home.
Okay, so it's kind of more of a safer space where they can disclose maybe some of the more personal things that they weren't able to share in a group debriefing.
Exactly. They can go into more detail, they can talk about more personal issues, things that they might not like to have shared with the wider group. And they can discuss whatever comes into their mind. They don't have to share the time with other people.
Yeah.
However, the one-to-one debriefing is very intense, so it doesn't always work for people who like to be in the bigger crowd. So somebody who's a little bit quieter, who's had no issues really, they might find the group debriefing better because they can sort of go into the background. They can listen to other people's experiences, which normalises the challenges for them, and then that's enough for those people.
Okay. So with the personal debriefing, you mentioned there's a process that you use in it. Can you tell a bit about the process?
Yeah, we follow a framework which was devised by Dr. Debbie Lovell-Hawker, and she's a clinical psychiatrist and with many years of working with returned volunteer development workers and aid workers. And she established a 10-stage process whereby you ask certain leading questions and you try and guide the person through their own debriefing by asking certain questions and keeping them on track. And it's 10 stages, so you have a few introduction questions, then you ask about the main challenges or the difficulties of the placement, and you try and keep them maybe to 3 or 4 challenges or difficulties. Then you talk about if the person might have experienced any symptoms of stress, either while they were away or since they've been back home. And then you try and normalise those symptoms of stress and say that many people have felt those things and experienced them. And then you talk about the positive aspects about the placement, so that you're asking for the difficult, challenging things, and then you finish the debriefing with the positive aspects of the placement and any future plans that the person might have for the next few weeks. So particularly you're looking for, positive plans where they're looking after themselves, that they're doing something that gives them joy or happiness, that they're not stuck. They're not stuck in the placement. And then we follow up with the person 2 weeks later, either with a phone call or in person. And at that point, 2 weeks after the debriefing, we ask if the person would like further counselling. We don't ask at the same time as the debriefing, because you want to let some time go between the process and the actual intensity, either of a group debriefing or a one-to-one, and then the follow-up 2 weeks later. And if the person would like to avail of counselling, we can then refer that person on to an institute that we have an MOU with here in Dublin.
Excellent. It sounds really comprehensive.
Yeah.
Do you ever see the need within the personal or group debriefing to go in more depth for critical incident debriefing?
Yeah. Sometimes that can happen in groups or one-to-one.